From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
You know what?
What?
I've been thinking about this Sentinel system.
Yeah. Tell me about the Sentinel system.
So what I was thinking was, we have the one car that's got the aim dash that's slowing us down. Because installing the aim dash is actually, it probably is easy, but it's quite hard the first time. And we haven't figured that out yet. The Sentinel system is really easy to set up. So what I was thinking was, why don't we put it in the Lemons car? And we'll worry about the aim data information separately. And we'll kind of break it down into a project. Because then we'd have the motorsports video system that we really, really want, and we'd be able to stream it. We just won't have the data inside, but we have the data outside, so we can combine them later. But I think that's a really good solution.
So what does this Sentinel system do?
Well, if it had the aim data, it would have all the data on the screen, and you could see all their telemetry and everything live. But we'd be able to not only record it for viewing after the race, but we could actually watch our car during the race.
Ooh, like on the monitor and everything?
On a monitor, if you were at home and I was at a track, or if you were at the track and I was at home, depends on who gets the short straw, but we'd be able to watch each other.
It's something I've always wanted to do.
And you know what? If you're driving, you know what you can do on the Sentinel system?
What's that?
You can communicate to me with your hands, and I can't do a thing about it.
Even better.
So, if you need to give a wave or a jersey wave, whatever you need, we could save it and see it on the screen. And then you can have up to 3 different cameras, and it'll have picture in picture. You'll have the basic main shot out the front window, and then 2 cameras where you put them wherever you want. One could be on the driver, or one could be on the rear view. It's kind of cool.
Then we can upload it onto YouTube.
We could bore millions of people on YouTube.
I love it.
All right. Very well. You know what the only downside I see about this?
What?
Your mom and my mom are going to be panic-stricken the entire weekend watching this thing to see if everything's going well.
This is true.
We probably shouldn't tell them.
I like the idea of having a Sentinel.
Mm-hmm. Well, luckily we have maybe 2. Depends on how things go. We're going to try. All right. That sounds like a plan. That's the project. We got to get that ready for the next race.
Sounds great.
All right. Very well. Thank you, ma'am.
I am so puzzled about my driving. Sometimes I just don't know what to do. If I only had somebody I could talk to that does this so much better than I do.
Oh man, like a Sherpa, or
I need a Sherpa. Somebody with really long hair. Kind of reminds me of Jesus.
Oh, I have not been getting haircuts lately. Does that count?
Yeah,
for a few years.
Yeah, for pre-plague-ish kind of thing. So I did see a picture of you with short hair, and I was like, "Who's that?"
I used that quarantine hairline for so long, and by the time people were like, it's been too long for you to say that.
Mm-hmm. I'm prepping for the next one.
That's right. I'm getting ready for the next plague that's going to try to threaten my existence.
They seem to come every 100 years. I'll be prepared by then.
So. Yeah, I'm finally going to be ready for that one.
That's right. Anyway, so let's minimize the plague talk and let's talk about driving, Ben.
Definitely, please.
So I think I know this is going to come as a surprise to you. Sometimes I overthink things. I don't know if you've ever noticed.
That's That's why you need me. I'm always here to help you underthink everything else.
So here's my latest one that I'm just banging around in my head, and I think it's one of those where Ross would say, it depends. But anyway, so let me give you a scenario. We're going through a turn, and I'm trying to learn a new track, and I'm looking at the track map, and I'm thinking about what I'm supposed to do, and I'm torn between minimizing the distance through the turn that the car has to travel versus maximizing the speed or the min speed I reach in the turn. Because, I could make the distance really short by going straight after the apex, hard right-hand turn, but I'd have a really low min speed.
Right.
But my distance will be really short. Or I could do the perfect geometrical line where I have the biggest. I don't know.
Right. You take the one line that's perfect and high, wide, and handsome, and keep your speed up, and hopefully
my min speed's
have
up, but my lap time's low or slow.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine too many scenarios where you've done the corner geometrically perfectly with a great entry speed, hit the apex in the right place, and then still have a bad time on your lap time. Unless it was a really weirdly specific place where you just don't do that.
The times that come to mind are, and I've heard it explained. So if you're going around a corner on the perfect arc and you're at the limit, right? Mm-hmm. You can't get back to the gas until your wheel is fully straight because you're at the limit.
Gosh, that would almost make you want to get the car turned early, huh?
So sometimes you want to get the car lengthen the straightaway on the way in or lengthen the straightaway on the way out, which then precludes. That's where
this is definitely one of those ones where you could easily solve the riddle by knowing, is this a high value corner on the way in where it just doesn't matter how ugly you get in because the next thing is a short, maybe the next thing is a short shoot or an even tighter radius corner. So it doesn't matter how you get in because you're going to keep eating crap all the way in. Or there's nothing consequential. Or is this turn 7 at Road Atlanta where
it matters?
There's no point. There's no point in me trying to play games with cutting distance, but I got to nail that apex and I got to be hammered down on the way out, as early as I can so I can get big speed. So, in some cases, what's before and after the section of the track that you're thinking about could just dictate it for you, right? I mean, that could be a pretty simple equation. In some of those places, it already calls it for how you need to do it to be fast,
So let's do turn 7, but let's change it a little bit. Let's make it perfectly flat and perfectly 90 degrees. It's got a little bit of camber to it, and it's not 90 degrees exactly. It's pretty close,
right? Because as it is, 6 is more open, 7 is a little bit more than 90, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, but it's close. I mean, it's not bad.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty nice U shape down there.
Yeah. So, and it's a right-hand turn, so no big deal. So 6 comes before it. There's a little short shoot, which if you're at Road Atlanta, you definitely should be back on the gas and full throttle, even if it's only for a second or a fraction of a second, depending on the car you're in. You definitely should do that. And then for 7, you'd want to give up a little bit on entry to maximize your exit, right?
Yeah, a very accomplished driver won't need to give up too much on entry, but the point is you might not go.
If you were to miss,
well, right. So if you're not, Hans Stuck or Sebastian Bourdais, you might want to take a little bit extra care and you might lose a little bit more speed just to be sure that you're precise in placing the car at the apex and getting your throttle timing exactly how you want it. So you might not roll as much speed or force into that corner just to be sure you get it exactly right, because you've got a long straightaway. We're going to get close to topping out your top gear by the end if you do it right. So, you might take a little more gingerly approach in there, and you're not that concerned with cutting distance or anything. You're concerned with cutting the most beautiful, perfect corner that you can and getting the perfect exit, right?
Right, and then complicating this would be if there's traffic there. You're going to want
traffic there. If there's traffic there, I'm just going to do whatever they're doing, but faster, and then leave them.
Yes, but you don't want to jam yourself up.
No, it's true. Yeah. I'm sure there have been times where I've given up an opportunity to get inside somebody at turn 7 and instead just sort of decide to ride behind me so I can get a pretty corner and then do what I'm going to do, especially if I think I got more motor than the car I'm going to pass. If I don't have more motor than the car I'm going to pass, guess what? I'm messing up both our corners at turn 7. You can have the outside, I'll take the inside, and we'll see what I can do with me jamming you up, because I'll use traffic as a weapon too. You know what I mean? Like, hey, neither of us are going to have a good turn 7 because I need you to knock you down the straightaway, and I need a chance to get away.
Well, and just as much as like if you were coming up on a car, you may delay or keep some of that distance, or not be as close to that car in front of you as you could be, in order to make sure you've got a clear, free exit.
If you think you got the power to get around that car under your, just under throttle versus throttle on a straightaway, then yeah, that's what I would do. Instead of trying to make force a traffic situation, it just depends. I mean, I still might do it, especially if I have more power. But in general, sometimes if you're just trying to kind of keep things smooth and less drama, and there's nobody's pressuring you hard from behind. If you got a bunch of laps on the next car position down, there's no point trying to fight anybody for the entry to a place like turn 7 where you're all just trying to get a nice glorious run out to the straightaway. There might be a reason to want to fight everybody in any corner, but that's one of the ones you're trying to maximize. So if you have a choice, you might just want to let discretion be the better part of your valor that day, and just kind of hang back. And we're talking about hanging back like maybe a car link, and just
so breaking you're not clogged up.
Yeah, just breaking a tick earlier than you usually do, just to tuck in behind that person instead of trying to run too wide when you don't have to. But as I've also said, there may be times where forcing it to be too wide might play to your advantage, because you got a momentum car and you're going to kill all their momentum getting out. So you get to still keep your momentum up. You hammer the gas. You're still going to hammer the gas in your Miata 100% as soon as you can, which is going to be quicker than the next guy, that Chevelle you're trying to pass. You know what I mean? Like, you're still going to be able to fully commit to the throttle in your little momentum car, whether you're pinched a lane over or not. When it's time to go, you're going to be able to go. That person that you've shoved another lane further out than they wanted to be is going to have to wait even longer to get on the gas. So it's a little bit off topic, but I'm just saying, there are times when you want to prioritize going by yourself, and there are times when you might just want to use traffic as a cudgel to help yourself out too.
But ideally, you don't want to jam yourself up behind somebody that delays you, especially in a Miata, from getting on the gas.
Right. That might be another time where you're like, this guy's going to be way too slow for me to even try to roll through here. I need to get this done. Because, be realistic about, the kind of traffic that we're talking about a lot of times. Lemons racing or multi-class racing, where you might just come up with somebody who's enough of an outlier where it's like, well, I got to force my way through here rather than being patient, because being patient is going to cost me more pace than I can afford.
Yeah, like if there's an IOE car on the inside right, we're going to...
The Chevy Astro, the Chevy Astro with the full shuttle wings. You're gonna have to just give them some room and get on it and get it done.
Just give them a wave. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your thoughts? Are you kind of a minimized distance, or are you kind of a making sure my min speed's as high as possible? Or ideally both, but yeah.
Yeah, you want to be good at being able to do both on command. And be able to have both tools in your war chest. I would say my long history of being a momentum and Miata racer tells me that usually I'm going to want to cut distance, unless it's a big sweeper where I could, instead of cutting distance, I might be able to just open the wheel up and let the car gain momentum. I'm thinking about like turn 1 at VIR as an example of that. But then again, Oak Tree at VIR is a place where I've always used to cut distance. And, the guys in a Viper or a big power, Mustang, they kind of come around and sweep their way through the first turn of Oak Tree. They just kind of sweep that really wide, and they don't bring the car into the apex until that very last apex right before that back straight. And in my case, in momentum cars, I will usually jump that first curb, let the car go all the way out to the left right before honking it in for that last one. So I kind of treat that as 2 turns, whereas the big power guys will keep that kind of as one big sweeper into a very tight turn. So that's an example of 2 different places where you might think you want to cut distance, but in some cases it depends on. So it depends on if you're in a car that needs to build momentum and you get a big sweeper and you get a chance to start opening the wheel before the guys who have to make a diamond shape out of the curve to get turned. That's one case where it might be better to have a pretty real pretty arc on your exit. For example, we talked about entry arc, but this is the opposite example in a momentum car. You might do better to not cut distance in some cases. I mean, your ultimate guide is going to be your what?
Lap time.
Yeah. So try different crap out and see what works. But ultimately, was this faster? Then yes, this is how you do it. At least until you figure out what might be even quicker. But let lap times be your guide and try different things out. If you feel like, hey, I'm getting beat by these other cars who I don't think should be able to beat me based on what I know they got and what I got, maybe go to school on them, ride around, try what they're doing. And one of the big benefits to DEs is getting a chance to be around so many other different styles of cars on track and see how they're doing. Like, oh, can I get away with that? Oh, is that something I could do with my so and so? I mean, it's definitely one of the ways I learned a lot of the stuff I know, I currently know on track. So I don't think there's one perfect answer that applies to everybody, whether you should cut distance, or whether you should make the prettiest corner you can geometrically make. I think it depends on your platform, the location of where your car is on which track, and what comes before it, what comes after it, what you're trying to prioritize, what kind of car you're in, how much horsepower you have, how much grip you have. So, sorry.
No, but there's another point to that, in that once you become accustomed to driving on track and you can repeat your lines, right? You can do it.
Sure.
There is nothing wrong with trying something new and seeing,
definitely.
like, should I do this or should I do that? And the best time to do that is in practice time or in HPD, because who cares?
Yeah. That's I'd rather learn that stuff during that time than when somebody's actively trying to pass me for a position in a race.
Right. Like the upcoming nationals at pit race, not the time to go playing around with lines. You should have this all worked out by then. But that's why you go to the HPDE or the race before it and figure these things out, because there's lots of turns where it's very obvious, but there's some turns where it's subtle, or there's multiple ways to do it depending on your car. So you need to, for lack of a better term, you need to experiment and find out which one works for you and your car.
Well, tell me this, Bill.
Sure.
What I've learned in this one car that I was used to driving at this one track, is that going to automatically apply to a different vehicle at the same track?
No. Different vehicle, even at the same track, can vastly have different lines, and I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Some will be a double. The one that's a classic one to me is it 5 and 6? I think it's 5 and 6 at Gingerman. It can either be a double apex or a diamond.
Yeah.
And that's fairly typical. There's been other tracks where it's been the same way, and it depends on, are you a lower power momentum car with limited grip, or a high horsepower car with all the grip in the world, or combinations in between? Some way may be faster than the other, and really it's your job as a race driver to figure it out for you and your car.
Yep, I agree.
I passed the Dominic and Dawson test.
There we go.
Who knew? Listening to these would make sense.
We did it.
We did. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.